So, another reason that we experience conflicts in our relationships, a lot of it has to do with the attractiveness. What I mean is that if we think about it, a lot of the conflicts we experience in relationships coincides with losing our attractiveness to each other. So there is a loss of attraction um, that's occurring. And I think a lot of times we forget about that relationships is more about energetics than it is about preferences and the contemporary explanation of compatibility. So when the attractiveness or the energy no longer is resonating with the very thing that allows us to draw to each other, it's obvious that conflicts will begin to manifest in different ways within the relationship. So here's something that's real basic to help us to understand what keeps the attractiveness vibrant, alive, flourishing, or regenerating. And this is where it comes down to. The more we see ourselves within each other, the more attractive we are to each other. The more I can see myself inside you, the more you can see yourself inside myself or inside me, the more we'll draw to each other because there's a similarity. Like, when we talk about the law of attraction, one of the basic things we know about that is like attracts like. The more I can see or recognize myself inside you, the more I'm drawn to you. The more you can see yourself inside me, the more you're going to be drawn to me. Okay? So that's the basics of attractability. Now, if we're losing our attractability, what begins to happen is I am losing that sight or that ability to see myself inside you, right? And you're not able to see yourself inside me. So there is a blurring that is starting to happen. And so, more as that blurring or that shade comes in and begins to cover that light that you easily at one time recognize inside each other, you now begin to see the conflict begin to rise and increase. So, the more the recognition or the awareness of yourself and each other is growing, the more the conflicts will grow in your relationship or in your relationships. And this applies whether you are with one person in your life or with many people in your life. It's a immutable law that it's just going to happen. Okay, so knowing that it's inevitable to happen in terms of the attraction, we have to pull out what insight we can get out of it to help us to begin to move our relationships in a more functional or productive manner. And so, harmony and conflict both resides upon recognition. It resides upon how we can recognize each other and ourselves. So this shows us fundamentally at the basic level of attraction. And inside, attraction with each other is the level of awareness or the sight or the recognition that we have about ourselves first. What I'm able to recognize within myself, I'm able to recognize inside you a lot easier. And vice versa, you'll be able to do the same with me. And in that, it increases the draw. So the more that draw revolves around the different aspects that makes up my inner self, the more stronger the attraction is I have for you and vice versa that you have for me. And so that superior strong attraction is more than likely what's going to show that you have what we call a quantum attraction, or it's just an abundance or a very strong um, primary attraction, which means y'all can be at oneness with each other for extended period of time without needing to split or separate from each other. And all of this revolves around self-awareness. All revolves around me recognizing you, recognizing myself inside you, and you recognize yourself inside me. So that also shows that attractiveness also um, boomerangs around transparency. So a lot of times we come relationships hiding. We're not truly transparent about our truths to each other. And so if we're doing that, then we're what? We're energizing or we're stimulating seeds of conflict, because the recognition that's coming inside with the transparency is not able to be expressed in the exchange within the relationship. So if you find out most people that have strong relationships, strong bonds, strong connections, a lot of times you'll hear either very clearly or you can witness that there's a level of transparency and a vulnerability that they can hold with each other, which creates the sacredness of the connection. And so when we're losing our attraction or attractiveness in relationships, we're going to have to self reflect and look at ourselves and look at, am I able to still be vulnerable with this person? Or did I hinder vulnerability? Am I blocking transparency? Or am I not being transparent? Did I lose sight of myself? In other words, did I lose sight of my truth, my inner truth? Did I begin to forfeit my inner truth for the sake of trying to relate with you? If we're doing those things, and we all have found ourselves probably in that situation, then we're growing the conflict and we're lessening the attractiveness. But if we begin to do the opposite of what I just mentioned, we increase the attractiveness